So did both of you guys come out of art school?
Yes.
I did graphics, yeah.
Yeah. So you start out, what is it, because if you went to art school and you obviously saw graphic arts, which is perceived to be commercial art, and yet there's something very artistic about the work that you've done. It's absolutely fine art. I mean, you've raised it to a level where it's just, you know, makes your eyes feel good to look at it. It's so interesting, and the color choices, and it's so much fun. I mean, it's got so many different aspects to it, and it's a very emotional visual quality to it. And so what made you guys, each of you, think, I'll do graphic arts, but I want to bring my art to it. I want to like imbue it with my own fine art sensibility, because that seems to be what you guys have both done.
Well, I didn't do graphic design, so I think actually maybe that's a good question, because I think having done, I did theatre design, stage design, and then film.
Stage design, okay.
And then film.
Which makes sense for Stuart Craig, because he started out doing stage stuff.
Oh yeah, and then I went to the film school to do film design, so I was kind of already in that environment where you had a responsibility to story and to telling stories through your visual work, and actually the theatre course I did was quite fine art heavy. You know, that was probably, it had that bent to it rather than a technical one. So certainly for me, I think finding a space for that and mixing, because of course I was doing a lot of 3D. I was thinking of 3D a lot. So that's where graphics for film is great, because you are having to think.
3D on this.
Yeah, not
and you know, even the Whoop stuff is very three-dimensional looking.
Oh, really?
I like it, definitely. You know, the shapes and the movement of your eye in the pieces, they all have a very kind of geometric, dimensional quality to them. Yeah, so so then you just wound up, you just kind of fell into it because it.
Yeah, I think just bringing a few, and I think you as well didn't. You weren't.
What was your story?
When I finished college in graphics, I worked in editing for like maybe 2 years, and I worked in fashion as well. And I didn't do graphics for maybe 4 years after I finished university. So the first graphics I started doing was when I started hip hop. So, and I think that is where I really
because you had
belonged. No, I think it was the graphics that I was trying all these other things that didn't really make sense.
And when you do your graphics, there's a lot of, it's not just the words, it's also drawings and pictures, and, you know, let's use an example of something like, this is a good example. I mean, there's definitely a lot of pictures involved. So are you hand drawing all of that stuff in it?
Mira, she draws
incredibly well.
Yeah.
All right, so you do more of the, so what is the partnership? How does it work?
Mira, she is the hands.
Okay, so you do the hand drawings.
And often that literally is almost like a conveyor belt, so I might draw stuff and then pass it over to Eduardo, and then he just brings it all together with the colour and the composition. And because quite often we're drawing, well, for example, the Marauders map, and with other anything that becomes big and involved, and especially the practicalities of film where we know that we need to have repeats. We can't make one off, so it's a bit of a contradiction because you're doing a hand-drawn piece, but you know it's got to be repeated, but you don't want to do it photocopied. So part of the challenge of that was making something that we knew we could repeat often, and so I drew it with quite a sort of, I mean, there's a method in the madness of this, which is that, to give away some tricks, but it's not very complicated. It's really that we designed everything so that it could fit into a section that could be photocopied on an A3 copier. So actually, that that is one section.
Right.
That's another section.
Right.
That's another section. The front, is another section. So that we.
How long did it take you to do this? And did you guys both come up with it? You worked in it together?
Yeah, but I think the funny thing was when we aged that, we had this long table. Remember, we even had a dance.
What?
When the first one we had all the street, we
aged
up with coffee, and it was really funny because we had like,
Were you playing music?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What was the music?
Well, it might have been the soundtrack to that film.
Real? That would have been clever.
No.
Really?
No, it was.
We usually would make it Monday.
It was probably it was probably something really tacky.
Really? Excellent. Like
I'm
too sexy for that.
Yeah, it probably was Grace Jones with Young Rose.
Yeah.
Oh, that is fabulous. See, that's a good thing to do this too.
Especially the French bit.
Yes, absolutely.
So this kind of had a plan to it, and actually where it's interesting perhaps for viewers is that, and again going back to the thing about who do we report to and how involved is Stuart, you know, he was very concerned that if there was any representation, I didn't want any lines on this map. I wanted it all to be made out of words.
Wow.
Because I think the people that created it were incredibly sort of creative and unusual, and it was in code, and it was a bit of
enigmatic.
Yeah, exactly, and that they were a bit cheeky, you know.
Oh yeah.
And so that was that, and actually that was looking back at some, I think, 17th century drawings that were made with lettering. So that was the original inspiration. But anyway, once we decided that's how we were going to do it, he said, I want you to create, respect the architecture of Hogwarts. So I had the technical drawings as they were being drawn.
Right.
Of
you had
of
to,
Hogwarts.
yeah.
This was in
So
Harry Potter 3, so we didn't know the new, no?
It wasn't, everything wasn't already done.
I didn't even know the map was
going to be back.
featured in 5 or 6
Oh,
or something, because it hadn't been written yet,
Oh.
or one of them, maybe 6. So which was actually ideal, because then we did just add new sections to the map as and when they were, you know, when they were needed.
So who has the original?
Let's do that. And this is a kind of working model, but
So this is the working model.
Well, we'd have to keep adding to it.
Look over there.
see if things.
Well, you can buy these, you know, it's not the working model, but you can. This is like you can get at the Wizarding World. But this is so wonderful. And so this is one of the ones that you danced on.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably,
Oh, it's great.
In fact, if you don't have, you can see our footsteps dancing.
Yeah, exactly.
But as well, to answer your question, because most of the graphics we did, they were hero props. They were like, the actor was going to work with that. So that involved the conversation involved the producers and the director very close as well. They were really
there was
close.
and that was right from day one, which is not always the case on film, and I guess it depends on the creative involvement of the producer. But they did, and especially to begin with David Heyman. So everything had to go through a sort of quite a convoluted approval process, which on the whole was fine because we were all speaking the same language, and they tended to. And every now and then it would be challenged because people see things in a different way, especially things that are from the Muggle world.
And we had a fun one because
like
in Harry Potter 6 you had to design this huge billboard for
on the station when you see Dumbledore with Harry and they sort of
at the beginning of the film.
Right.
There's like a huge billboard of a perfume advert called Magical Me.
Oh yeah, right.
And to get
no, it wasn't. No, that's
no, yeah, it was Divine Magic.
It was like a perfume thing. Yeah, okay.
And it took like maybe 3 or 4 months.
It took much longer than any of this thing
to get the look of the model,
because
right?
Everyone had a different idea of what a beautiful woman was and what the name should be and what the font
because on
be.
The mock-ups we used Giselle Bündchen, no? So we put the most expensive model in the world. So
that wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
So actually it made you realise that when it came to all the magical stuff, we were given a huge freedom to, you know, and trust actually. So we were really grateful.
It was great to be with Anne as well, with the producer, because then I can have like private meetings.
Oh yeah. So this is the Daily Prophet stuff, and I'm just wanting you to just go through a little bit and tell me what it is that you were thinking and how you came up with some of these things.
Well, this is actually, I mean, this is our little Bible just to remember. Is this just from one film?
I think it's Harry Potter 5 and 6.
Oh my God, it's so detailed.
Eduardo became a bit of a sort of bit of expert kind of
you were the newspaper man,
newspaper tycoon.
Yeah.
So actually, you should have.
See, you working for Xenophilus, were you?
Yes. The Quibbler as well. Yes. So we.
And I think that since think we've done more than 50 Daily Prophet.
Okay.
Titles,
And-
like actual, you know.
And all the newspapers, they have proper pages with weather conditions, magical lottery.
Haven't we got an example of one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right here. And also needs to be aged.
Yes, which another thing, you know, sometimes there were scenes where there were maybe 300 of one copy, so we just took over the corridors and thought everyone would go mad with the smell of coffee.
That's so great.
Yes.
Okay, especially he who must not be named returns. He who must not be named has returned to this country and is once more active. And it's all your it's
So you see this magical lottery,
So we try and keep everything.
And you coming up with all of this?
Yeah.
But you act like it's no big deal. Your little brain is going into the magic.
It keeps us sane.
This is one thing that we always, when we look back and we read one of the headlines, and this is
yeah, you said what do we like? Sometimes we find let's see if we can find our favourite. This might not be the one that's got Muggle mistakes one for chopsticks and causes mayhem at Chinese restaurant.
Question of the month.
and we have to
portrait counseling. Is your portrait having an existential crisis? Oh my gosh.
And we have to come up with lots of
Can you actually buy a whole Daily Prophet at the store?
So.
No.
Oh, that's too bad. I wonder if that would be a
there's
cool thing for people to have.
a publishing kind of constraint with reproduction of anything with text.
Oh, really? It's so great though. It's so creative.
Magical cauldron found in Italian restaurant.
And the funny thing is some of that one.
Rogue Howler disrupts Muggle conference. So it was mixing Muggle news with. Oh, here we go. Drunk Muggle conducts traffic with wand.
I think this was a friend of mine. That she said,
But there is. It's not in this one. There is a story about a witch.
There was Debbie.
imports.
She used to work with Stephanie as a buyer, and she's ginger.
A ginger. Okay.
And she's really funny, and we need to fill space. So we came up with this idea, this crazy ginger witch. She's still
Always trouble.
Henna.
And she sells henna.
Yeah, and she
illegal
sells fake
imports.
henna, and she's arrested in Azkaban. I think that. So on the last day Prophet I released her from Azkaban.
Oh,
So
she liked the gingers.
a little bit of power to be you know.
Yay! Well,
But otherwise, I mean, what we did, again, going back to the thing about there is there's some practical constraints that we had to do. So you'll see that although we did have time to do headlines, all the small copy is illegible. We chose a font that would not, and no one ever says what's that because you're too busy trying to make out the other stuff. So,
the tiny stuff.
But
a lot of it you are
But
right.
we find out on the whole with all the props is that if someone's in a restaurant reading a menu or they're standing in front of a poster, there's just no point in writing blah 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 because human beings are too familiar with the construction of words, and they will see straight away that it says blah 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 blah. Whereas they won't notice even if it's in Latin, but if there's something to do with the shapes of words that we recognise. So we always think, well, we might as well write something, and actually it keeps people entertained.
Send us an owl before it's too late. A call to action. That's always important in advertising. Oh, that's hilarious. Tired of endless squawking? Try owl correction. Oh my gosh, you guys are so great.
That was really fun. Yeah.
Oh, see, now this is my favorite thing.
Yeah, it would be boring if we didn't have things like that to entertain us. It just keeps the day kind of fun.
Ah, it's so great.
Not every day.
Like they have everything that no newspaper needs to have.
Yeah,
you have choice.
But like any prop,
I
we would
see.
buy
alliteration.
something.
Always nice. All right, and what's this? Oh no! It's like the Nazi thing.
Yeah,
and it's pink. So there you go. Well, no, I always thought it was interesting were you inspired by Nazi propaganda when you did some of the work?
Well, we were actually given that as
David
wanted that as the kind of the visual.
Heyman or Yates?
Yates.
Okay.
So
well, it's certainly in 6 and 7.
Yeah, from
as it got darker.
Yes.
Okay, so once the ministry got taken over, and they had that big statue and all that.
You can see that very clear on the Daily Prophets. The first two were much more Gothic. No?
Yeah, well, I think that was our thing, that when yeah, when the day before it was taken over by the ministry, we wanted it to be
completely
much
look.
more dogmatic.